you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. We do have a quorum.
We stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the moment of silence, I would like to ask everyone to think about all the people that work for the city and all the work that they do on a daily basis, in bad weather, good weather, freezing weather. They work very, very hard. We have a lot of different departments that function in unison to make sure that our city is clean and presentable and safe. I want to thank everyone that has been working with the water situation so diligently, and thank everyone here at City Hall that works to make sure that everything is functioning as it should. Keep them in your thoughts and send positive vibes to them, positive thoughts their way, because they work very hard. Our police department works very hard. Our finance director works very hard. Maria Gilberry with utilities is on the ball all the time. And we appreciate everyone who works for the city. So keep a positive thought for them as you go about your day. If you run into something at the city that you think needs to be fixed, give them a call. Everybody's willing to do their part to make Las Vegas a better place to live and the best place to live. And we're very happy that we live in such a wonderful community that is full of kindness and generosity. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Madam Mayor, approval of the agenda.
So moved, Mr. Mayor. Madam Mayor.
We have a motion from, maybe if I'm counted like one of the guys, I'll
Madam
be
Mayor.
in there.
Pro Tem.
Okay.
Pro Tem.
We have a motion by Councilor Montoya,
Second.
a second from Councilor Livarri. Is there any objection? Okay, we will count that as approved. Do we have public input?
We have one for public input, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Joseph Martinez speaking on police report vacancies.
Okay, Mr. Martinez? We do have rules of decorum. We have a resolution that requires that people who speak about issues with the city, that no names be mentioned, and that that the input that you give is respectful.
Thank you. Understand. I was corrected about that. Some of us here, I'm sorry about that. Apologize.
Thank you so much.
Well, as far as what you mentioned earlier about the safety of the citizens of Las Vegas and the police reports that came out of the vacancies, and one that really stands out is the vacancies within the police department. You have 9 police officers that are currently open positions, and you have 1 agent, Narcotics, another agent, 1 investigator. So that kind of brings it down to 12 police officers who are going to be vacant, not including the 2 that left this past month. I think with my experience, I was in public safety for 20 years plus, and officers like to stay in one spot. They don't like to jump around. If it comes down to a department, just let's train him, let's kick him out the door, and let him go to another department. That's costing resources, money, training, equipment, and you can't have that. You gotta have that leadership within the agency, within the department, to have a command structure, to have a chain of command from the bottom up and from the top down. And when people leave, it's people don't become cops to be rich. I'll tell you that right now. But most police officers want to protect and serve the community of the town they live in. And I think back in the day in the past, when they had openings, they had vacancies, they had interviews, one of the city council members will sit in those interviews. And when you get a person that is from the city of Las Vegas, a young man, he's doing it for a reason. Having 25 last month, having 23 vacancies, now 25, and now I can understand why the departments are letting people go. You're down so many agents, employees within the city of Las Vegas, but yet you're letting people go. We don't need you no more, thank you, bye, out the door. There's no, let's retrain you, let's maybe put you in another department to fill another opening. But, young people that come into this community want to work for the city. They want those benefits. They want to get that para. They want to have that health insurance. They want to have those paid holidays, having to come to work for 8 hours and give them a good 8 hours of work. And they want to stay within the community. You cannot kick them out the door. It's the same with what's in the agenda here is communications. There's so much that's out there that needs to be taken care of. It needs to be fixed. If there's something wrong, it needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed.
Thank you very much for your
Somebody's
comments,
gonna get hurt.
Mr. Martinez.
I don't know if
Thank
he even has a plan for an active shooter. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your time.
Next,
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, that concludes public input. We have mayor's appointments, reports, recognitions, and proclamations.
there's nothing. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, councilors' reports.
Do we have any council reports?
No, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I would just like to apologize for being late. A rancher sometimes gets busy.
That's right, and time goes by
loses track of
fast.
time, but my apologies.
Okay.
Thank you.
Police report.
Have Mr. Chief Antonio Salazar.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, actually, I would like to mention that,
Don't forget your microphone.
I'm sorry. There you go. I'm sorry, I'd like to mention that we, City of Las Vegas did attend, and is there city manager's report on this? No? No. Okay, so I would just like to acknowledge Councilman Romero that attended, and also our city manager that attended. It was a banquet in Albuquerque, and we got nominated, the City of Las Vegas, for the Hot Top Hat Award, and that's a 22 most innovation campaign for tourism and for True New Mexico. And we didn't win the top spot or the second spot, but we were one of the finalists at that, and Las Vegas did get recognized by the Secretary of Tourism. And I want to thank both our city manager and Councilman Romero for attending that. And that opens doors for the City of Las Vegas regardless. Thank you, Madam.
That's right. Thank you so much. Chief.
Yes. Okay. Our Field Operations Division and Patrol, some of the key points to look at are the arrests that were made during the month of October. 61 arrests. And here, another big one is the burglary calls. We had 14. 6 of those were reported. Again, like I explained, every time some people call, whether it be neighbors or somebody passing by, saying that, there's somebody in the yard, somebody possibly entering the home, officers go and check it out. They end up finding nothing, or the person has left. That's why those calls are not reported. All 14 calls were not reported, but they're logged into our system. And then we'll come down here to the incoming calls for 1,479. and jump up here to traffic citations, 245. So hopefully, we can see an decrease or an increase in that, whichever one it is, whenever we start issuing citations out for those speed trailers. Right now, people are getting letters and warnings in the mail, but once we start actually issuing citations out, that we might see a decrease or increase in that. Some of the community events that we attended, we hosted, Starbucks hosted Coffee with a Cop. Step Up Buddy Walk Down Syndrome at West Las Vegas. Police personnel attended that. We attended the mayor and council cleanup for the city of Las Vegas. We conducted an evacuation drill with Tony Serna Elementary School, where they evacuated from Tony Serna all the way down to the plaza. We conducted roadblocks. Fire personnel was involved in that. Sheriff's office was involved in that. So to make sure that those kids crossed the streets safely, we actually shut down a portion of National and a portion of the plaza, so we can make sure that the kids are safe crossing. So as you know, I think I saw Councilman Montoya there at the game. I don't know if anybody else attended that game. The East and West, we gave the key to the city to the winner, which was East for that game. We plan on doing that throughout. Let's see, it's still up in the air whether or not we're going to do it for other school events, East and West. So, but for right now, it's just the football games. We had a pretty good turnout with the DA National Drug Takeback. I don't have the numbers on it. We hand everything over to the representative from the DA's office, or sorry, the DEA's office. But we had a pretty good turnout on that. We recently put a campaign together, Adopt a School. This is where the officers, they sign up for a school. So whichever school the officer adopts, they'll go have lunch with them, have breakfast with them, walk the halls with the teacher, or just to be there be present there at the school, whatever school it is. So here are some of we have the DA take back, the key to the city. That was the key to the city, if anybody was curious on what that looked like. And then here's our flyer for Adopt a School. The events that we're having. So some of the events and trainings that we're having. The police department wants to try to implement a 10-hour shifts. We're still working on the city with city manager on that to see how we can work that out with records and admin aides and our financial specialist. We attended the genetic training, or Genetech training, domestic violence forum that Highlands hosted. We had a pretty good turnout on that. Employee appreciation luncheon with the city. Well, that was held here at the rec center, and we also had our monthly potluck at the PD. For code compliance and code enforcement, we had 111 calls for service, 15 citations were issued. And a key one to look at, so some of the deceased and disorders, or ceased and desist orders that were issued, we issued 4 of those. Animal control, we had 88 calls for service, 6 citations were issued, 1 written warning, and 1 animal cruelty case is still pending. A total of 22 animal intakes for the month of October. Currently, at the Animal Care Center, we are housing 55 canines, 27 felines, so 27 cats. Our records division, 169 incidents, reports were entered into the Tyler system, 36 traffic accidents were entered, 340 citations were entered, 163 customers were attended to, 394 offense incidents and traffic accident reports were scanned. Incoming calls for the communication division dispatch, 648 incoming 911 calls, 591 were answered. Again, so as explains here, we call back, we make sure to dispatch officers, it's a little ping that's sent out over our system, so it gives us a pretty decent idea where that 911 call came from, and officers do respond to make sure everything is okay. 1,419 police calls, fire calls, we had 159, medic 187, and then again with code compliance, we had 111, and then 98 animal control calls. So I want to jump here. We had, out of investigations and street crimes division, we had, so we'll go here for the 1 arrest and 1 search warrant. These individuals for the narcotics and investigations division, they've actually been pretty good on getting at least 1 search warrant. Sometimes it's more, and that's a house, vehicle, trying to do their due diligence on any other potential crimes that they have. We attended district court, magistrate court, and safe house interviews and MDT hearings or meetings. I'm just going to go over some of the key ones. So let's see. Let's jump down here because we actually are trying to present a fentanyl slideshow to the schools. We want to try to do it at the end of this month or the beginning of December. So if you see here, and this number is always high, 157 fentanyl pills were seized off the streets. We also attended the balloon fiestas on October 4th. Some of the trainings, the cold case seminars, resilience. Let me jump down. So it shows here that 4 of our supervisors went to leadership training within the department. Field training officer courses, FTOs. That's to those officers are now certified to train other officers, other officers that are coming in. We conducted interviews for community service aid, and also so we actually hired 1, and it'll be on the next report. 1 certified officer is on right now. He's currently working, and we have 1 uncertified police officer. So we have 2 police officers, 1 code enforcement, 1 animal control. We're just waiting on their 2 weeks' notice to start working at the police department. So these are some of the vacancies, but like I was telling you, we have, so that, the number 9 for the police officer, that turns into 7. That's currently at 7. And then our community service aide, we filled that position, and we only have 1 vacancy for animal control. We also filled that informational specialist, our records clerk. So we no longer have any vacancies in records after their 2 weeks is given. And this is going to end the slide. So I know I'd mentioned briefly last week, but this is an official invite to everybody, whoever's listening, and to everybody who's sitting with us today to the Battle of the Badges basketball game, Fire versus PD. We actually have a little wager on this game. We're going to be putting up our flags for the winners. So they're going to put up their thin red flag, and we'll put up our thin blue flag. And we agreed, whoever wins, well, whenever the police department wins, we're going to take their flag, and they'll do a parade. It's their responsibility to parade us around in front of their fire stations, and then a second parade at the end of the week. They'll parade us around, and we'll drop off the flag at their designated drop-off. So, and if they win, then we'll do the same for them as well. And that's at 6 o'clock at West High School. We invited Robertson too, so they have a club or some cheerleaders that may attend. So we don't want to make it about West. It's just they were the first ones to reach out in the beginning. So we just stayed with them. They were the first ones to reach out before the fires. We initially said it, and we stayed with them. And then we have plans to do it at East. The next game. And it's $1 admission at the door, so everybody knows. So I stand for any questions.
Are there any questions?
Madam Mayor Pro Tem. No, I really don't have no questions, you know. I just want to say a statement is that, you know, since you came on board, Chief, I think that we have been more transparent with the community. you have had neighborhood walks with councilmen and with the mayor. You have had coffee with the community and with the business owners. Your team has gone out and supported high schools in their basketball games to keep everyone safe. And, on top of this job that you have, it's real stressful. It's a real stressful job. I went on a ride along last month, and, yeah, we are shorthanded on police officers, and that's a given. Some people don't want to work, and some people don't like the salary, or whatever reason it might be. But we're still trying. We're trying to pick up those salaries. We picked up the salary by $4 this last year. So we're doing good things, and we have a good manager on board that's working with the police department and the fire department and with all the departments. He's a hands-on city manager, and he wants to know what's going on, and he wants to not have, so many downfalls or mistakes or errors and stuff like that. And he's doing a good job. I mean, he's doing a great job. And we have vacancies, 27 vacancies overall, but you didn't have the animal shelter under your belt before. You didn't have code enforcement under your belt before, and we threw these things at you, and you're doing this best as you can with them. And we're working out the bugs, and I think we're still living in a safe community. There's always going to be crime, but we're doing the best that we can, and your department, I think, deserves a lot of credit. Your officers deserve a lot of credit for being there for the parades, for, other functions, other events, and so forth. We've given direction to our city manager that, from this point on, we're going to be getting lodgers tax monies, hopefully in the future, so we can offset those costs in your budget, so that you can use your budget for what it's supposed to be used for, and training and so forth, and recruiting and so forth. So, I applaud you for what you're doing and the way the department's going. There'll always be rough spots. There'll always be rough spots. There'll always be crime. We're working with the city managers, working with P&M to do LED converting of all streetlights. And that's something that the city of Albuquerque took probably like 4 years to do. And the city of Santa Fe took another 3-4 years to do. I mean, we've been into this with, maybe 6 months or so, working on trying to convert all our lighting from P&M and our city lighting to LED, which helps out a lot, because the more lighting there is at night, the less crime there is. I don't care where it's at. So, those are, and then the thing is that your department is also working closely with the New Mexico State Police officers and the department and the sheriff's department. And, that's something that maybe wasn't happening as much as it should have in the past, but it's happening. And we appreciate their support and their help when they're called out or asked to assist us. So, I thank you for doing what you're doing with your department. I know we're young. There's a lot of young officers, and it takes time to train them and so forth. And hopefully we can, in the near future, help out with the salaries so we can recruit more people that, we can obtain versus them leaving to state police or other cities with high-paying jobs. Thank you, Madam.
Thank
Mayor
you,
Pro Tem.
Councilor Montoya. Councilor Olivares, you have any comments or questions?
No comments, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ditto to what he said. Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, next we have our finance report by Mr. Dominic Chavez, our interim finance director.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, councilors.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. I have for you this evening the finance report for October 31st, 2022. The general fund revenues are in at $4,195,829. with expenditures at $4,185,434 for a surplus of $10,395. Our enterprise funds, the revenues are in at $5,148,523 with expenditures at $4,890,942 for a surplus of $257,580. Our recreation center, revenues are in at $171,124 with expenditures at $136,187 for a surplus of $34,937, sorry. Lodgers tax, revenues are in at $294,328. Expenditures in at $130,042 for a surplus of $164,286. And lastly, we have our cannabis. Revenues are in at $35,000 with expenditures at $1,056 for a surplus of $34,158. And with that, it's time for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Chavez?
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I would just like to say that, that all these items went before the Finance Committee and, Mr. Chavez was drilled again. And we have one of our members sitting on the audience, Mr. Witters. But you know what? They all have legitimate questions and concerns. And Mr. Dominic answered those questions and those concerns. And it's a growing process. And the budget is a big working document that we got to work through. And I think Mr. Dominic's doing a good job with it, and his staff, considering that we also have vacancies there too. So if anyone's interested in the finance director's position, we have one available. And I thank the finance committee for being outspoken and being so into our finances and making sure that we're doing the right things for the right reasons. Thank you, Mr. Chavez.
Mr. Chavez, yeah, I want to say thank you too for your diligence, and I know it's, you had a big load just kind of tossed in your lap, and you've done a really good job of getting things back on track and fixing areas that needed to be corrected and so on. And so we appreciate the work that you're doing, and we're very happy that you're still with us, and that we have a good team that we have working there with you, and we're very happy about that too. And although we don't have as many people there as we would like to have, we're very pleased with the work that the finance department is doing, and you as the interim director are doing an excellent job. So thank you for that.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Mhm.
Maybe this is more towards our city manager, but the finance committee did want to also get a copy of how we're going to spend or what requirements are, or what do we have to spend the cannabis monies and the ARPO and the opioids. They wanted to find out what requirements for what that monies could be spent on, and as well as probably mayor and council would want to be informed as to how we can utilize that money so that we can come up with a plan.
We have emailed all that documentation, and it was included in last week's packet, but I can forward that to the Finance Committee's emails.
That should probably go to all the counselors also.
I didn't see it on my email.
It was included on your email and in the packet last week, but if you don't have it, I can re-forward it.
Budget adjustment request, I think.
It was in the packet.
Yeah.
'Cause I didn't see it on my packet. But
I'll forward it. I'll forward it as well.
thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, we have our consent agenda, if I may read it into the record.
Please do.
Item number 1, request approval of addendum number 1 to contract 3813-21 with Bohannon Houston Water Treatment Plant Facility Planning, Design, and Construction for Utilities Department. Item 2, request approval of addendum number 1 to contract 381621 with Moles and Corbin Water Treatment Plant Facility Planning, Design, and Construction for the Utilities Department. Item number 3, request approval of addendum number 1 to contract number 3825-21 with ACOM for the Dams and Reservoirs Engineering Services for the Utilities Department. Item number 4, request approval of addendum number 1 to contract 3827-21 with Sauter Miller and Associates for the Water Distribution System for the Utilities Department. And item number 5, request approval of addendum number 1 to contract 3850-21 with HDR Engineering Water Treatment Plant Facility Planning, Design, and Construction for the Utilities Department.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of the council?
Madam Chair.
Councilor Montoya?
Mr. City Manager, so, or maybe Maria, I guess, all these are one-year contracts. Is that right?
So to be clear, Counselor, it's a 4-year contract broken up into 1-year increments. So this will be for 1 more year.
Yes,
And this is year 2.
okay. And, there's no amendments to these contracts? There's basically the
Nothing
same thing?
changed. Contracts are the exact same.
And all this were reviewed by our city attorney?
It wasn't reviewed by the city attorney because there were no changes. If there had been changes,
Yeah.
originally, the
Okay.
original contract was reviewed by the city
All right.
attorney.
All right. And, just, since it's all about utilities, can you give us just a little bit of an update on the, filtering system at Story Lake? Where we're at with that? Is that part of this?
So the way that's part of this is one of those engineers is working on our permanent system. Right now, we have a temporary system out there. They were able to sign their contract, so they're continuing with services out there at Story Lake. And the goal is to move from a temporary system to a permanent system. So that's the correlation to one of these engineers. There's other projects that relate to the other engineers.
Okay, and are we okay for the winter time?
Yes, right now the water quality is good coming down the river. We'll learn a lot in our first few big storms. But our reservoirs are at 97% full right now.
Okay. Now, I'll go ahead and, make a motion, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, to approve the consent as presented.
Okay,
With six,
we have-
five items on there?
We have a motion by Councilor Montoya,
Second.
a second by Councilor Olivari.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Olivari? Counselor Casey? I have a motion by Counselor Montoya, a second by Counselor Olivari. Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have our business items. We have one item, request approval of Resolution 22-58, a budget adjustment for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. We have our interim finance director, Mr. Dominic Chavez.
Mayor Pro Tem and councilors, I'm here to request approval for resolution 2258. City of Las Vegas, they need to make a budget adjustment to the 2023 budget. Fiscal budget to include an expense increase to Fund 213 ARPA funds in the amount of $7,385. A revenue and expense increase to Fund 286 in the amount of $100,000. A revenue and expense increase to Fund 214 in the amount of $2,673,773. A revenue and expense increase to Fund 282 in the amount of $18,000. And a decrease to Fund 771 in the amount of $74,187. A revenue and expense increase to Fund 217 for San Miguel Senior Center in the amount of $4,611.
Is there any questions from the council? It's the pleasure of the council.
Madam Pro Tem,
Councilor Olivari.
make approval of resolution 22-58.
We have a motion by Councilor Olivari.
Second, and that was a recommendation also of the Finance Committee. Thank you.
A second by Councilor Montoya.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Olivari?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Olivari, a second by Counselor Montoya. Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dominic.
You're welcome.
Is there any need for executive session? Okay, being none, we will stand adjourned until next month. No, until November 29th for our special meeting. Right. Is there any objection to
November
adjourning?
29th.
Yes, if there's a special meeting to discuss Samaritan House. We got a
Mayor Pro
presentation.
Tem, do you know why that it's an emergency?
It's not an emergency meeting, it's a special meeting that the mayor has called.
Oh.
You should have that in your email.
Okay. Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I'd just like to emphasize the chief's invitation to the Battle of Badges, and that was
a friendly basketball game between the fire department and the Las Vegas Police Department. And this will be at West Las Vegas again on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. And so go out there and support your heroes, your long year-round heroes that really put their lives out in the line for us every day. Go out and support them and cheer them on. Thank you, Madam
Sounds like a
Mayor
plan.
Pro Tem.
If there's no objection, we'll stand adjourned.
one last thing. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Happy
Is that proper?
Thanksgiving to everybody, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you. To all staff employees, our city manager, everybody that's worked so hard. Thanksgiving, and see you after Thanksgiving, the 29th.
You'll be closed, offices here will be closed Thursday and Friday? Or Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, or how is that gonna work?
Per our approved holiday schedule, it is approved for Thursday and Friday. We are looking at possible for Wednesday afternoon, but that's not set in stone yet, ma'am.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, those of you that hung around, appreciate it. Mr. Chavez, Maria, thank you so much. Zach, out there in the back hiding. And Mr. and Mrs. Witter, thank you so much. Chief,
Motion to adjourn.
we have a motion to adjourn,
Second.
second by Councilor Livarri.
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
Nice.